I'm Lori Esposito. I'm with Valtech. I look after our key clients for our agency service line. Prior to joining Valtech, I actually was at both Marriott and Starwood, so I also serve at Valtech as our global travel lead. And if you're not familiar with Valtech, we are a experience innovation agency with more than 6,000 employees across 20 different countries, and we exist to unlock new ways to interact with the world. Let me turn it over to Lynn.
Yes, so I am Marilyn Tabet. I also am called Lynn, so you'll hear...
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. So you'll hear Lori refer to me as Lynn, but I am the Director of Digital Experience over at Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group. And I have been with the company for almost 4 years now, and I look over after everything digital across all of our hotels across the world. And if you're not familiar with Mandarin Oriental, we are a luxury hotel company that services hotels across Asia, Pacific, Middle East, Europe, Africa, and the Americas as well. We will have about 40 hotels by the end of this year and growing very quickly. So as you can imagine, we're here today to talk about our partnership. And to kind of state the obvious, you would think that most relationships are award-winning. But I like to think that we've got a different type of award-winning relationship and partnership with Valtech. I'm very protective of Valtech, and I feel like they are an extension of my team, and I hope that they feel the same way about me. We went through the ringer, and it's been an incredible journey. So it's really exciting to be able to share with you what our partnership was really about. And I think the key message for me is transparency. You may hear that often, but we'll kind of dive into it a bit deeper about what exactly the transparency was between our partnership that has brought us so much stronger and closer together.
Yeah, so as Lynn mentioned, this type of relationship is the ideal, but it's not always necessarily the case. And that can be a variety of factors. Sometimes there's a cultural disconnect. Sometimes there's a misalignment of goals or objectives up at the start. And sometimes on the agency side, you might have a tendency not to be fully transparent. You might have an us versus them mentality sometimes. From a client perspective, I've worked across a variety of different clients, all very different and unique. But sometimes they like to hold things a little bit closer to the vest. So that lack of transparency with the agency can be really challenging for us to understand what your needs are. Some clients think it's important to challenge the agency. I think at the end of the day, a lot of the time, clients might feel like they have a really strong relationship with their agency, and sometimes it's a little bit more one-sided. And as an agency, we do exist to serve the client needs, and it's most important. But sometimes it can be a little bit taxing if your client isn't also kind of treating you as a partner. So when I first started, I had this amazing mentor at an agency, and her philosophy about it is that there are no sides. There's no us, there's no them. What really makes for a strong relationship is when everyone comes together on both the client and agency side and really does what's best to represent the brand and the work. And I think that's what we've accomplished here, which is really great. So we'll get into some of these barriers and how we kind of overcame them. So let's get started.
Yeah.
And first, Lynn, why don't you start providing an overview of what Mandarin was looking to do at the start?
Absolutely. So this is the fun part. We started this process in 2020. Ahead of the pandemic, and we made the decision that we really needed to re-platform the content management system that we were using for our website. So we went into this without really thinking that we were going to do a redesign, but we just needed a partner that could really develop a platform that brought us up to industry standard and allowed us to develop from there moving forward. So.
Yeah, so as Lynn said, we pitched them the week before the world shut down in March of 2020, so it was very interesting. But as we got started in the program, what we started to realize is that the luxury customer was starting to redefine what luxury travel meant. And this was a whole new world, as all of you know. And we started talking more and more with Mandarin about how it was so important to understand that customer. Customer research is something that most agencies think is really important. It is important. Clients don't always necessarily understand that. But when we first started bringing this up, we were really amazed and surprised at the eagerness that Mandarin had to talk more about this. And just their overall enthusiasm as we started to bring new ideas and thoughts. They weren't concerned about scope creep. They were more interested in the ideas that we had and how we could make this successful, which was really great. So Lynn, why don't you tell us a little bit about your vision?
Yes.
We began the program.
So after we started hearing some additional feedback from Valtech, we realized, okay, well, there's a lot more that we could possibly do at this point in time. They started bringing us some information around UX and UI, the customer research, and we realized, you know what, maybe this should be a redesign, and we should not just re-platform our sites. So we took the confidence that we had put into Valtech and we said, you know what, let's do it. Let's go through a redesign of this site. And
no big thing.
Yeah, no big thing. And we didn't really move the timeline too much. So that was also a nice fun one, put us up against some crazy deadlines, but we managed to make it work. But really, we trusted in the relationship and we trusted in our partners in Valtech when they came to us and said, you know what, your customers are actually saying this, and we think we can build you something really fantastic for it.
Yeah, so we started with an archaeological deep dive into the Mandarin brand. We spoke with their stakeholders, and they really opened up the doors for us. We went into hotels, we spoke with GMs and concierges who were interacting with customers. And then, like Lynn said, we did do an extensive customer research process where we were able to learn more about the needs and wants. And through all of this, that's really what informed our experience strategy and our approach forward.
So Lori, how did getting a deeper understanding of our business help you with working on our account?
Yeah, we didn't start by just asking what are your top 3 priorities. That probably would have been a lot more simple for you. Instead, we did a series of workshops where we were trying to uncover a lot of information. So we were asking them about things that they liked about the website, things that they wish they could do differently, things they heard from stakeholders, what they were hearing from hotels, analytics, different things that they would like to measure. And again, this was a series of workshops that we did. And the objective was to ultimately get to their key business objectives, KPIs, and then we use this to help develop their personalization and segmentation strategy. What we learned along the way, and again, it was a huge amount of time, so we appreciate that, but because of all that time investment and because they were so willing to do that, it really felt like a shift for us where that was when we came together as one team and we now were aligned against this one vision and one goal to move forward, which was great. And anything you remember in particular from that?
So we actually did a poker planning session, which was incredibly fun. As you can imagine, a lot of the times when you go through these, as Lori said, you may ask, what are the 3 main objectives that you're looking to achieve? They went about it a bit differently, and they actually just laid everything out on the table, whether it be someone from the hotel said it to them or someone in our corporate organization said it to them, that it was something that we were looking to achieve. And what we did was we did this poker planning session where we would actually score different cards through Miro, and we learned a lot, not just about Valtech, but about our internal stakeholders and what they really felt was important to have in our digital landscape. And so it was a really, really fun session. And as you can imagine, doing all of this virtually, it's really difficult, but we seem to have so much fun with it when we did it.
We did, and my job is really around building a relationship with the client, and it's really hard to do that in COVID when you're just on Teams. And this was a fun way to do that in an interactive way. And to be honest, at the time, we were kind of nervous because we had already asked for so much of their time with so many sessions. So when we first suggested this, we were hoping they would not come back and say, we're too busy to play games with you right now. Luckily, they didn't. And I think this was also a moment in time when we knew we were on a special journey with them because it was really fun. And that was another, I think, turning point for us, too.
Definitely.
So kind of pivoting a bit, you did talk about stakeholders. So you have a lot of internal stakeholders and the hotels are your stakeholders. So how did you manage them in this process, in this evolution?
I can't take this.
That's not a softball.
Sorry.
That's not a softball question.
There are a lot of stakeholders. It is a difficult process of managing stakeholders, especially across 36 hotels at the time and across multiple cultures and regions. So what we did was we tried to actually shield Valtech as much as we could from that process. And we tried to have those communications with as many internal folks as possible. We didn't actually reach out to every individual hotel and say, hey, look at this new site that we're building. Because as you can imagine, we would have gotten a floodgate of questions, comments, concerns. So what we did was we also positioned ourselves so we could tell the stakeholders when the floodgates finally opened and the site was launched. You know what? We worked with the best in class with Valtech, and we made a website that is very functional and also brings our luxurious experience to our digital platforms. So trust us, and spoiler alert, our results actually show that we were making the right decisions, and our hotels came on board after that once they started to see those results really come in.
Yeah, I think what we noticed so much of is you know, how you kept going back to the customer research to you know, make everyone internally feel comfortable about the road we were on. And obviously, there are always lots of stakeholders that are involved. We usually are fielding that, so it was great that we were able to just focus on the work.
Definitely.
Yeah. So did you want to talk a little bit about some of our ways of working,
yeah,
our collaboration?
So to come back to the transparency piece, I think, you know, we were working from home most of the time and weren't able to collaborate in the offices. So we were working probably bi-weekly in the start, having bi-weekly meetings, and then, you know, the pressure starts to come on when launch is coming up. So we started having weekly meetings, and then it was daily meetings. But really, it wasn't meetings to pressure them or for them to ask any, you know, can we cut anything out? It was more about how do we work better? What are you going to work on today that's going to help all of us achieve this goal? I think it was more about collaboration and making sure we were all on the same page to make sure we were successful together.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really stood out for us is how Mandarin always treated us as a partner, not a vendor, which was really special and unique. And our ability to collaborate well also had a lot to do with their transparency of how they came to us with feedback. There were definitely times where they had to come to us and say, you know, we got this feedback from senior leadership, despite our feelings on it, this has to happen. And hearing that, and so that we could rally around that was really great. So, you know, we're kind of talking about all the puppy dogs and rainbows and how everything went smoothly, but everything didn't go smoothly. So how did our relationship and our communication help when issues arose?
I think to come back to that partnership point, there were times where, you know, we have something at Mandarin Oriental called a signature fan. So every one of our hotels has a specific fan for that property that was designed for them. And we wanted to showcase that somehow on the website. So we originally asked Valtech to come in and put it in the navigation, and they're like, we're not sure about that. We think it's gonna be really tiny. Are you sure you wanna do that? You know what, let us come back to you and come with other opportunities or areas on the site that we think this would actually work better. And, you know, it was always that conversation. It was never them demanding like, nope, doesn't make sense, or us saying, you know what, you say no, but we say yes, we're the client. It was always a conversation to find the best path forward and the best solution forward, because we wanted to make sure we were bringing that, like I said, luxury experience to our site. And I think the solution we actually ended up with is now it shows up in our hamburger navigation. When somebody opens that up, you'll see our beautiful signature fan behind it, and it just works very, very well. So we happen to find really great solutions when we worked closer together rather than working in our silos.
Absolutely. And Lynn, given your background, I know you've done this before, so this wasn't a first time for you, but was there anything different or any learnings that you had going through this?
Yep, so I have done this at MGM Resorts International in Las Vegas. I worked there for about 8 years, and we had done a digital transformation and moved content from one content management system to another. And it seemed like it was a very, you know, straightforward process. Of course, there's so much content, so many stakeholders, but one challenge we saw was translations. at Mandarin Oriental, we are a global company. We have 13 languages. Actually now, I think it's at 16 languages that we translate into across our sites. So we had to find a way to not only migrate 36 hotels' content, but also to migrate the languages across all the sites. So it was a challenge that, we had to work with Valtech to find the proper solution. And we ended up going back to the hotels and saying, we're changing the structure of the site, we're changing the content of the site, so let's actually have you review the content before we send it for translations, which drastically changed a lot of things. But coming to that together was, I think, a great opportunity for us to find a way and find a path forward.
Yeah, we've certainly done content entry before, but this was different and this was new for us, so we were kind of learning together. And while we did, raid logs and we talked about risks throughout the project, this was pretty far along, and we were really established in our relationship. But at this point, we really had to go to them with a problem that we didn't have a solution. And that's not normally something as an agency you want to do with your client. You don't want to present problems to them in that manner. But we really knew it was important to be transparent, to bring them in at that stage, to let them know we would get it sorted. But also, with Lynn's experience, we knew it would be really helpful to have her help us ideate on a solution. So we did work through that together. We got to a solution really quickly, and it was great to have your collaboration on that, which was fantastic. So we have a few minutes left, so why don't we talk about the results?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I spoiler alert earlier, we saw an increase in our SEO improvement because we not only cut down the content, but we actually went from 13 language domains down to 1, and that really improved our SEO. We also saw a 26% increase in visits to the site, a 40% increase in revenue to the site, and a 2-point increase in our channel share, which is about a 15% increase in our channel share. So those results really spoke to the fact that what we did with Valtech, our partnership with Valtech, really was successful. The other fun piece is, as you know, 36 hotel sites, a lot of content changes. So we actually took a tally after our 1-year mark, and we made over 7,700 content changes across all the sites. And we were able to work with Valtech and have over 500 enhancements pushed through code within the year. So constantly improving and constantly evolving our partnership and our websites and our digital platforms. It's been amazing.
So we're certainly proud of those business results and excited about this award because it speaks to our partnership, which is really special. We've also won awards through Sitecore. That's the replatforming system that we went through. So Sitecore, we won an Experience Transformation Award. We were shortlisted for a Skift Ideas Award. And then we also, through Web Awards, received Best Website Transformation, which is also really exciting. So I think we have just 1 minute left. We can share some last thoughts. So just from my end, if you attended the session earlier with Robert Dawson when he was talking about AI, one of the things that he mentioned is that it's been proven that the nicer you are to AI, the better results you'll get. And for any clients out there, I would say the same is true of your agency. And the reality is you're all in hospitality, so you're all nice, hospitable people, and that's kind of a given. But I just wanted to illustrate an example specifically with Mandarin of something that happened right after launch that kind of really speaks to this partnership that we had with them. So we launched in August. It was at the end of August, so we were going into the Labor Day weekend. And that Friday, as we were getting ready for a long weekend, Lynn contacted us about something that she had found on the site. I can't remember if it was a bug or maybe something that senior leadership had brought up. And she wanted to make me aware so that when we came back after the holiday, we could get started on it. But very specifically told me that she didn't want me to tell the team because she wanted them to have some rest. They had been working so hard, late nights. She was there with them a lot for those late nights. And she knew that if I told the team, they would immediately stop what they were doing. Again, this was a global team, so we had some people, when she was calling me at this time, it was close to midnight for some of our other team members on a Friday. And that level of humanity of treating the team with so much respect, is honestly why this team will do anything for this client. We feel like we're in it with them. And to be honest, sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge on our end to handle the, the resourcing and the non-billable that they want to put into it, but we're happy to do it. But it is kind of a special way that that they've treated us, and that really allows this team. I mean, the team loves, you kind of have us wrapped around your pinky, and we love working on it. So hot tip for those of you, just be nice, and they'll want to work really hard for you.
Yeah. I don't know that we have any time for questions, but yeah. Lori and I will be outside or around, so if anybody wants to come chat with us later, we're basically attached at the hip. So feel free to come and chat with us later.
We are.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.